It is said that when a rock is too strong, that no other force can come to break it, the rock will break itself. That is the law of nature. So if you think you are too big, that you can do everything in this world, nothing can touch you, don't worry. Your destruction is going to come from within you.
Studies have been done about the mental health of white South Africans during the time of apartheid, right? When everything was quote unquote okay, when they had separated everyone from everyone. But that stress of being an oppressed and being the violent one, the inflictor of violence.
How many times have we seen antelope littered on the street that have been killed by the tiger or by elephant? By lion. You just kill them without eating. They don't do that. There are rules of nature.
That's true. And enjoy my resources, of which there are plenty still, despite what they have done. And I will build my own life. I will not spend, the next 400 years making sure you are miserable. That mistake of suddenly they see us as them, right? So that back and forth of where we're not human and then we're human and then we're not, they imagine their own actions and project them onto us and say, no, I have no time to spend oppressing you. I don't want a full-time job of causing more anger in you. I will go and live my life. Right.
I want to tell you something. In my place, there is an adage, even because it's not going to go on like this forever, because we are toiling with nature, and nature have a way of rebalancing itself. In my place, it's south of Nigeria. It is said that when a rock is too strong, that no other force can come to break it, the rock will break itself. That is the law of nature. So if you think you are too big, that you can do everything in this world, nothing can touch you, don't worry. Your destruction is going to come from within you. Because nature must rebalance itself one way or the other.
That is fantastic. I love that saying because it is very true. It's very true. Very, very true. Very, very true. Wow. I think my friends who are geologists will love that saying because it's very true. Even mountains crumble by themselves.
Yeah, they don't need somebody.
Break by themselves just by being there day and night with the small expansion contraction. They will go. And it's true. And I think also when people consider mental health as a thing, right? If people look at trends of mental health within the societies of those who are so-called the oppressor, patterns can be found of how people fall into a rather steep decline of poorer and poorer mental health. So if we look at situations like apartheid South Africa, studies have been done about the mental health of white South Africans during the time of apartheid, right? When everything was quote unquote okay, when they had separated everyone from everyone. But that stress of being an oppressed and being the violent one and the inflictor of violence has its own results on them. Their rates of suicide and mental health were going higher, poor mental health were going higher. Their own rates of domestic violence and sexual violence among themselves were going higher and higher and so forth. And it's similar. Like in the United States, if you look at despite the oppression of people of color, the opioid crises, the mental health crises and so forth that continue to build. And unfortunately, rather than dealing with these illnesses, people have now been conditioned to point at someone else, to point at someone of another color, right? Or another socioeconomic class and say they are the problem. Never do we take time to say, no, we are the problem. How we are functioning is the problem. Because it's always about us. right? Not as individuals, but how we are functioning within and amongst each other without those categories as a complete us.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you ask me, I think nature put before us a library that is infinite for us to learn from. Now, I say this because we as human beings are not the first to exist as species. And we are not the only one that exists as species. We are not the most intelligent. We are not the biggest. We are not the smartest. Of course, our evolution have aided us in certain way because of how we have evolved. So we are able to do a lot of things that other animals do not do. But despite that, we can still learn from them. For example, look at the destruction that we have caused to Mother Earth. The question is, what did we do this one for? For what? Are we hungry? It's not hunger. Because if it is hunger, all the tons of food that we are wasting in the world today, we will not be wasting them. Because it means that we are not hungry. Although we are doing that, a lot of people are going to bed without food on their stomach. Which means that we haven't learned. Because if we have learned, we will learn how to balance up life. Because to balance up means that, have you ever seen a tiger or a lion, no matter how, because the tiger or a lion can kill antelope any day. But how many times have we seen antelope littered on the street that have been killed by the tiger or by elephant? By lion. You just kill them without eating. They don't do that. There are rules of nature.
That's true. Very, very true. And it's funny because again, these things, they seem to make sense to you and me. But let's say here in the United States, this conversation of hunting, it becomes like you're the crazy one. When somebody says, I'm going hunting, and I say, are you hungry? Is the grocery store run out of things? Do you have no money? No. It's like, we'll go out to kill these animals, And in some cases, it's actually, they do it with some environmental consciousness. If there are too many deer causing problems, whatnot. But if you ever say to somebody, I don't think hunting is necessarily a good idea, my God, the reaction, as if you're trying to take away their freedom to hunt, and the arguments usually come back to they want to be prepared for when they will have to hunt, right? And I say, so this preparation of something is out to get me. I want to know how to hunt because when the government can't take care of me, when everything crumbles and everyone is after me. And I say, who is after you? So you now go and hunt and kill for fun to justify just in case, preemptively again. So I'm preemptively killing deer in case there comes a time when I have to kill them. So I have to kill them now in case I will have to kill them. The logic becomes cyclical, right? But again, that relationship to what is abundance, what's there, what isn't there, when we're no longer working in reality. And sometimes we have to refigure completely fundamental conceptions of what it means to be a person. And a lot of people aren't willing to do this. Because if people are holding so tight to their ideas of what they think reality is, it's hard to change.